A close call indeed. A newly released video shows just how close an Air Canada flight got to other jets as it was making a landing at SFO back in July of 2017. In their surveillance video released by National Transportation Safety Board on Wednesday, Air Canada's Airbus A320 descended just 3 minutes before midnight on July 7th of last year. Although the plane was apparently cleared to land on runway 28L, it was actually lined up to land on a taxiway where several planes full of passengers were waiting to take off. The Airbus immediately pulled up before landing on the plane-packed taxiway. The Air Canada crew told the NTSB that something didn't look right on the runway as they prepared to land, so they opted to go around. The Associated Press reported that the FAA said in a report that 3 of the 5 close calls involving aircraft reported in the past 16 months at SFO were caused by pilots. The NTSB also revealed that a system designed to monitor ground traffic at SFO lost the inbound Air Canada aircraft for about 12 seconds. It came back onto the system when the plane overflew the first waiting plane on the taxiway. Fasten your seatbelts and enjoy.
Engine failure forces Cathay Pacific flight to make emergency landing in Bali. Cathay Pacific is currently investigating a number 2 engine defect on a diverted flight late Thursday night. Flight CX-170 left Perth just before midnight en route to Hong Kong when it encountered engine trouble near the coast of Bali. The plane, an Airbus 330, has 2 engines and can fly up to 4 hours on just one. Passengers reported hearing a loud bang as the plane started shaking and cabin lights went dark. Some passengers reportedly saw sparks, flames, and smoke coming from an engine, though the airline says this was a light signaling engine failure, not a fire. The plane made an emergency landing at Bali's Denpasar Airport around 3:35 a.m. Fire services met the aircraft on arrival. The airline explained there was no fire and no one was harmed. 254 passengers and 13 crew members were on board the flight.
Like this video? Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter.
Plane crashes into truck at LAX. An Aeromexico flight collided with a utility truck on a taxiway at Los Angeles International Airport on Saturday, injuring 8 employees. Aeromexico Flight 642 departed from Mexico City with 149 people aboard. It arrived at Los Angeles International Airport at around 2:30 p.m. on Saturday. The plane was taxiing toward a boarding gate when it crossed a service road. The right wing of the plane collided with the rear top of a supply truck, causing it to overturn. The collision did not cause a fire. The plane was still able to taxi to its gate after the accident.
Harrison Ford nearly crashes his plane again. US aviation officials are investigating an incident in which a private plane belonging to the actor Harrison Ford almost collided with a Boeing 737. 74-year-old Ford, who is an experienced pilot, was seeking clearance to land at Santa Ana's John Wayne Airport on Monday when he was instructed to direct his Aviat Husky A1C to runway 20. Some 110 passengers and a 6-person crew aboard American Airlines Flight 1546 to Dallas were waiting for Ford's private plane to land before taking off. Despite the instructions from air traffic control, Ford somehow went the wrong way to land at the taxiway, which is parallel to runway 20. Right before he landed, Ford's plane then passed over the top of the American Airlines Boeing 737, nearly hitting the larger aircraft. Ford can be heard on air traffic control recordings asking, "Was that airliner meant to be underneath me?" After the incident, the American Airlines jet was able to depart for Dallas. In 2015, Ford suffered head injuries and a broken arm when he was forced to crash land his vintage plane on a golf course in California after its engine failed. The US Federal Aviation Administration has launched an investigation into Ford's latest mid-air mishap, which could result in anything from a warning letter for the Indiana Jones star to losing his license to fly.
Little girl shot and killed after Houston car accident. The life of this little girl was cut short over the weekend following a car accident in South Houston that ended with shots being fired. On February 25th, Toya Thomas was exiting the highway as her 8-year-old daughter, Damari Adkins, slept peacefully in the back seat. As she was crossing through an intersection, Thomas saw a car racing through from another direction. Unable to stop in time, the 2 cars collided. Thomas immediately looked over to check on Damari, who was still fast asleep and unharmed. That is, until another car suddenly drove up beside her, A woman exited the vehicle, pulled out a gun, and started firing bullets at their car. The driver involved in the collision left the scene, followed by the shooter. When Thomas checked on Damari this time, she saw a bloodstain on the child's jacket. Damari had been shot in the chest, dying from a bullet wound at a nearby hospital shortly after. The drivers of the other cars involved have yet to be found. Police have not figured out a motive for the senseless attack. Toya Thomas believes an extreme act of road rage is what robbed her daughter of her young life. A GoFundMe page has been set up in her memory.